It's the Bark
Here
Side.
we are.
Hello. Hey, hey.
Hello. Hi.
Hi everybody. Hang on, I'm not quite ready yet. I feel like I should have had my razor like I did when I was camping out with the kennel. I feel very well groomed, Sarah,
There
for
you are.
today.
Right. Perfect.
Well, your hair is always
Perfect
perfect.
segue.
I'm just jealous because you have the thing and it's cool and the kids dig it. I can't pull that off.
Yeah, I can't. I'm thinking of pulling it off myself.
No, you are. You are.
Well, thank you very much.
You have the cool hair, and
Hmm.
everybody this week, speaking of that, we're going to be talking about that. Who do you want doing your dog grooming? Somebody with the cool hair.
Well, yeah, or who hires the cool ones that can do it?
Oh, well, there you go. See, no, that's cool. But hi, everybody. If this is your first time tuning in, wherever you've been, make sure you follow and like. And everybody that has on our YouTube page, we appreciate you. All the Instagram shares, you guys are great. Thank you for that. Okay, I feel like this might be one that kind of might surprise us here, some of the comments or whatever that we're getting, because we've said before the food shows that we did, the two food shows. We got a lot of comments there and everything. Um, Grooming. I think some people might think we're talking about grooming, and they may not know. Tara, Pet in the City Grooming, but also Dilworth grooming up
Still with
there.
dog grooming. Yep.
Yeah, Dilworth
Hmm.
dog grooming you have up there. So you've got your knowledge there for what you're doing. Grooming isn't just about Instagram pictures, putting a bow on your dog and that kind of stuff. Sometimes the grooming is just for fun, just to make them look nice and pretty and all that stuff, but there's a real purpose and a need for grooming,
Oh
isn't there?
yeah, it's the same thing when you wash your hair or get your hair cut or go get your pedicures and manicures. There's reasons for all that, and yeah, same thing for dogs. So I mean, yeah, it's pretty when you get color on the dogs, or you get little feathering, or you get little bows or ties, bandanas. But I mean, there's real reasons. Um,
well
you
I
want to make sure you're like brushing your dog's coat out regularly. It keeps those oils nice and going on their coat, keeps them safe from infections and things like that. Keeps you can actually see things before it even starts to happen.
Well, see, that's the thing because we did the show where you sent me that awful picture with the fleas show. Don't want to go back to that, but it's just
Sure enough, but you
and I don't want to go,
saw
but
it.
just you guys and just the brushing and the grooming and just kind of keeping that hair and the old hair and getting the gnats out and all that kind of stuff. But you can
Right,
see if there's something going on, and that's really just for you and every day, every other day, whatever.
right,
Just a little brushing really goes a long way just for the health. But I also
right.
imagine, I know my dog, he just sometimes he feels good when we're doing it. It's just
Yeah,
kind of he some areas he likes it, sometimes not so much, but there's different grooming that you can do with that. But yeah, there's an actual purpose to it, isn't there?
right, right. And you really don't want those mats to grow in their coat because it actually hurts them. It harms their skin. It can create infections. It's really not good for them. And so, say you have a double coated dog. Lots of doodles have a double coat. Even golden retrievers have a double coat. That bottom coat has to get brushed as well. And some of that needs to be like blown out or de-shedded because it'll start matting underneath there, and it really just doesn't allow the supply of blood to rush to the skin, and lots of issues can happen if you don't keep up with that.
And now so I knew matting wasn't great. I didn't know it could get that bad.
Sure.
So you brushing that, but sometimes if the dog is just too matted, then you do have to take him in somewhere and
Yeah.
and have somebody professionally, get them back to what they should be.
Right. And that's what we try to avoid when we groom. We don't want to shave. We never want to shave a dog down to bare skin. I mean, that's not. It doesn't
Yeah.
look great. I mean,
No.
but it gives them a great start. And so if you take them into a groom shop or do it yourself regularly, you won't have to worry about. And then you could keep the coat a little bit longer and nicer and fuller. But again, you want to make sure that some dogs are hard. I mean, some dogs are hard to constantly do. And again, who has all that time? So that's why I think a place like, Dilworth is needed, Pet in the City grooming is needed. It's because it's a lot, especially. And so what's the popular dog? Doodles in Charlotte. You go anywhere in Charlotte, you see doodles. Well, they need a lot of work. They're coats, and they come in all different kinds of coats. So let us help. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? It's just helping and
So I'm not that experienced with the doodles. I've been around them. My dog George, we've mentioned before, is not a fan of the doodles, so I tend to not go near them. But the double coat, what is that all
it's
about? What is that?
there's two coats. There's one on the outside, one on the inside, and during the winter it keeps them warm, and during the summer they blow that coat and it keeps them cooler, and it's just a layer of protection.
Okay, okay.
Things like
So,
that.
and that's kind of what we do with George. We let his hair get long for the winter, so it keeps him a little warmer when we're out there walking and all that kind of good stuff. And then, a couple of weeks back, we had that warm thing, although we had a couple cold snaps in there. It was kind of chilly some mornings, but we kind of go in and cut him really short. Don't use a razor, just some scissors, and any of those mats or
Yeah,
any of that winter hair we get out of there, and give him a good brush and a good bath, and then he's good to go.
yeah.
I definitely notice a change in him when we do that. First of all, he looks like the puppy dog that we first got when his hair is really short, so I like that. But I do feel like he is a lot cooler because he feels like I feel like he's a little bit more active when it does get warmer with the shorter hair.
Well, sure. I mean, and you don't have to shave your dog down. And actually, we recommend not to shave your dog down, especially
Yeah,
if it's double coated, because it
yeah,
does protect them from the sunlight. So it
right.
actually keeps them cooler. So some people say, oh, I have to shave my dog down. It's the summer. You don't have to do that. A
Well,
shave
dog.
up a little, that's good.
And so I've been a little worried about George because he's kind of entered his cat phase where he's like now he's just laying in the sun outside
Oh,
sometimes. He didn't know, and I'm like, you're gonna get sunburned. Dogs can get sunburned.
oh, yes, they can. My dogs do the same thing. They find the sunniest spot and they just lay there.
Yeah.
And I talked about my old dog that we adopted. His name is Mr. Finch. He's 14. And he's white, really light and short coated. So it's not a lot of care, but he will get a sunburn in a second. So I have to watch where he lays because he just loves it. Just
Well, and
loves
sometimes, laying at the door with the sun coming through the window is one thing, but
it.
yeah,
Right.
George has recently just started laying outside, just laying in the sun, roll like with his belly. I'm like, dude, I can't lay out there like that, neither can you. So we got to kind of bring him in, but he loves it, just being warm and being out there in the sun. So that's some good stuff right there. If
Mm-hmm.
someone is thinking about, it more than just it's for the maintenance, but also just to make their dog look good, there have been some situations in the Charlotte area where grooming hasn't been so great, and some situations where things didn't really go well. What are some things that people should look for if they're looking for a good groomer?
Well, I mean, you should talk to the groomer. You should have the ability to talk to the actual person grooming your dog. We have a receptionist, of course, or a reception area where people come in but don't you want to know who your groomer is? I get if you miss them once in a while, but that initial meeting is kind of important to talk about. This is my dog. I want you I'm handing over your dog. Don't you want to know who the groomer is? Maybe ask some questions about how long they've been grooming, or maybe ask the business, what's their professional knowledge on their situation. Dog breeds. Have you ever done a breed like this before? We have some weird or different dog dog breeds that come in, so that's a different haircut altogether. So,
I hadn't thought about that with the different breeds and everything because
mm-hmm.
somebody might have a different dog from you and have a good experience, and then that groomer may not have any experience with the kind of dog that you have. So asking like breed specific
That helps
questions
too, sure.
or your friends like that, that's a really
Mm-hmm.
good question. Hadn't thought about that one.
Yeah.
And then just wanting say that to me was something where I didn't even consider not like anybody who's putting hands on my dog. I want to meet them. I want to know them. I want to look them in the eye and just see
What you gonna do?
kind of scope it out a little bit. So no,
Mm-hmm.
so I get that. So that's some really important stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So you got grooming at Pet in the City down in
Yep.
Matthews, grooming at Dilworth Dog Grooming.
That's all we do
Um,
there.
what's the difference between and Pet in the City is a store, but what's the difference in the grooming with the two locations? Like, is there
So they're
anything?
completely different.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Dilworth a
Yeah,
little bit different than Matthews.
absolutely completely different. So in Pet in the City, it's one at a time, fear-free grooming, meaning that your dog comes in and we'll go from start to finish. through the grooming process with your groomer. Doesn't go in a cage. There's a lot of personal time spent with that dog. It's really good for dogs that are scared, puppies, older dogs. So it's more of a purposeful groom. I mean, anyone could get their dog groomed there, but it is definitely more purposeful.
So hang on a second. Let me stop you for you say fear-free grooming. What is
Mm-hmm.
that?
Well, it's the least amount of stress on a dog and on the groomer too, because again, it's not like getting our haircuts. We're not biting at our hairdressers, or we're not, I hate to say it, pooping on our chairs,
Right.
where or all that other stuff that happens. So it's to make that stuff a little bit more calm for the dog, just a little bit easier. And we take as much time as the dog needs at both places. We do not push a dog through anything. Just refuse to do it. And so the second part to that is that Dilworth is not that it's not fear-free grooming, but it's cage-free grooming. So the dogs can play, and all that energy and nervous energy, they're playing. They're kind of working it out. So they make it a little bit easier for the groomer to groom the dog. They could take a break. So if the dog's not digging it and doesn't like his nails done, and we can only do one paw at a time, and this
Go
is
play and then we'll
put them
come back.
down,
Right.
we can start on another one, and they can get all that energy out. And then, yeah, so it's a completely different, both have really good qualities to them, but for two different ways or two different needs. And I think Pet in the City is more purposeful as far as for that dog that's just a little bit more difficult, more afraid, or more hurt or old or something.
Right.
That might be
Right.
the place where if you have a young dog that likes to play and likes the energy of that kind of fun time, that's where you go.
No, I get it. It sounds like one is kind of going to the salon and let's go in, let's get focused, let's do this, get that personal treatment. The other one is kind of we're going to a little day camp stay over where we're going to cut your hair and make you look good for a little bit and run
Yeah,
around. So,
yeah,
but that's really smart though. Just hey, if the dog's feeling a little stressed, go play for a little bit. We'll come back and we'll get it
yeah.
done. I imagine though that means you got to really have some people that know how to read a dog and the mood of the dog. But it
Yes.
also there's going to be some times where it might take a little bit longer than other times.
Right, of course. Of course. Especially
That's
a
interesting.
Dilworth too, if you're having a great time but the dog's not ready. You're kind of, again, we really don't push any dog through anything that's going to make the dog hurt, upset, scared, or the groomer, get bit or anything else. So we try to do everything the best way we know how. And my
It's a good two.
groomers,
It's a good two-way street. It's a good reading
yeah,
of each
two
other.
different ways.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I like that, but that's pretty good. So I imagine that is kind of different. So I was just kind of going the difference of just the location of Matthews and Dilworth, but kind of just the different approach. You may have some people in Dilworth that the approach down at Pet in the City is a little bit more than is kind of what they're looking for.
Sure.
But also vice versa, where somebody down in
Yeah.
Matthews may have a dog that wants to go run around a little bit and have a crazy time. That
Yep.
may be the spot for them up there.
Oh yeah. Anytime we can do that, I'll just refer back and forth for sure. Because most
That's
pet parents want to have that option. They want to, I feel good about both options. So, and I feel really good about the groomers at both locations.
that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I learned something because we've
Oh,
talked about
good.
it before, and you see it on the Instagram and the deal where those like, yeah, I was just doing the grooming or both, but you are, but it's
Different.
different. That's
It's
pretty
different at
cool.
both places. Yeah, there's no cages. I mean, there's areas. So in Dilworth, there's a small dog area,
Yeah.
and then the larger area. We do have a couple crates, but it's mostly for dogs that are afraid of dryers. And then they
Oh,
come,
yeah.
yeah, some dogs don't like the dryer, so we have some cage drying, which is a lot
Yeah.
calmer. But yeah,
Right, right.
but all in
That's
all,
it. How did that, like, is that something that you just kind of, was that purposeful, kind of the two things, or was
so
that something
Dilworth,
you just kind of stumbled upon?
I bought
Right.
from somebody who I've known for a long time, who really cared about keeping the business local and keeping the heart of the business And so I appreciated that
Yeah.
because that's really what I want to do in
Yeah.
life, in Pet in the City and Dilworth is be the person that you could trust that everything's going to be okay with your pet. So, so it sounded
That's
good to me. Like it sounded like a really good deal. And then Pet in the City's my brainchild that came out of me and again a little bit different than most places.
that's good. I just learned something. I liked you before, but now I'm kind of like, hey, she kind of knows what she's doing.
Well, that's sweet.
So, so that's pretty good. If someone is interested in finding out more about grooming, and we just kind of gave you 15 minutes on the importance of grooming and all that kind of good stuff. If they're unsure about which location might be the best for them, what would you suggest?
Send an email to either place. They all come to me.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to send an email to Pet in the City, just do info@petinthecitync.com. And then if you want to send a email to Dilworth, it's request@dilworthdoggrooming.com.
I like that. So good. I really like. I'm not trying to be, but I really just learned. I learned a little bit about the locations that I wasn't like I knew it, but I didn't know. So that was
Yeah.
we kind of did a good show here. So that was
Yeah,
pretty
thank you.
good.
Thank you.
Speaking of that, Kingsley, our dog of the week right here. Kingsley's looking pretty good, but I think Kingsley has been up for adoption now for a while. And I have some of the information. But yeah, Kingsley available from our friends and now my phone is trying to take a picture of Kingsley as they're sharing it here. But you can see some of the picture. Kingsley just looks great. I love all of that. And some of the information for Kingsley. Kingsley's one of those 7 years old. Kingsley's a large dog, about 63 pounds. Here's the thing with Kingsley, looks
Right.
good. I just want to make sure you're house trained, spayed and neutered. That's the good stuff. Maybe not the best around cats,
That's right. I do remember reading
and
that. And
maybe
I,
not the best around other dogs. Kingsley's somebody who wants your attention and does not want anybody else taking your attention right there.
right, that's right.
Very, very goofy, loves the attention from people, loves going on walks, only barks at somebody that he doesn't know. So if he knows you're not real good. But Kingsley is a Kong dog. You give that dog a Kong and some peanut butter, and that's a happy dog.
That's true. That's true. And I know Kingsley've been looking for a home for a little while. I do remember that as well. So if we give some love to Kingsley and find a home, that would be great because he
Uh,
definitely needs one home.
SouthCharlotteDogRescue.com. SouthCharlotteDogRescue.com has been available for a while. Has a lot of great attributes right there. Kingsley, South Charlotte Dog Rescue. Thank you for that. That was our dog of the week. And ladies and gentlemen, that was the Barkside talking about grooming. Good stuff right there. Thanks, Tara.
Great. Thank you. See you soon.